Thank you for joining us today to see the MPS EF430 press, along with Kodak's Flexcel NX plate technology. We're going to have an exciting demonstration for you today, and you have been given two items. The first is a yellow card, which we'd like you to hold on to, and we'll tell you about that later on in the presentation. The second is a sample that I'd like to have you refer to throughout our demonstration today. What we're going to demonstrate to you today is the ability to compete with offset, gravure, and digital utilizing flexo. This is no longer a challenge for our Flexcel NX users. They're converting work over from these processes every day with ease. Our label today that you're looking at is 200 lines per inch, so it's practically continuous tone. Without a loop, you won't see any dots on there. But we're printed on a metallized, pressure-sensitive material. So you need a good white foundation layer to cover the material, or you're going to have no shelf impact, no pop to your graphics. We need a strong white foundation layer, and then we need to put good solid ink density down to give you strong colors, good solid ink density for getting a broad color gamut, but you also want to contain that ink so that you don't compress your tonal range. And what you'll see as we go through is a couple of surprises hidden in that label. The way we're able to achieve this is using Kodak's Flexcel NX technology along with our new System 16 capabilities. You can see that we're able to put that good white foundation layer down. We're able to cover the substrate using a minimum of analog's volume. Using less ink will of course save you money, but it will also give you higher press speeds because you have to dry less. We're able also to contain that excess amount of ink that we're using to cover the material only in the areas that we want it. While you want to spread out the ink to cover the substrate, you also want to contain it only where you need it so you don't get excess dot gain or fill in your reverses. As an example, if you look at the top right corner, typically to get strong solid ink density, you're going to fill in that 90% dot, the 70% dot. We're able to utilize our special technology to contain that ink, to minimize highlight dot gain, but more importantly, keep those shadows from filling in. Keep those 80s, 90% dots open, and that's where you'll get the contrast in your pictorial work. The way we're able to do this is we've developed some surface texturization patterns. Now this isn't screening, and this isn't the dots that you see in print. This is a surface texturization that goes on top of the dots. For example, each of these pictures is the size of the diameter of a human hair. So we're talking very small patterns here. And each one's been designed for a specific analog's volume range. So we can use the first in the top left and the second one for process work with small analog's volumes. Going into the advanced 02 and the advanced 03 for larger analog's volumes for spot colors, for the PMS colors. The 3 into the 4 for the whites, where you need heavy coverage, and the 4 into the 5 for the very heavy analog's volumes that you use for adhesives, for coatings, for metallics, those types of things. So to give you another example, the standard pattern you see in the top left is able to hold the equivalent about 3/4 of a BCM from your analog's roll in the surface of the plate. All the way down to the last pattern, the advanced 06, which can hold about 7 BCM in the surface of the plate. So we match the pattern to the volume of the roll, and that's how we're able to very well cover the substrate, increase that solid ink density, use less ink to do it, and keep everything open. But this is the technology that gets even more exciting, because if you want to spread ink out, you want to contain it only where you need it. Otherwise, you have excess highlight dot gain, and you fill in your midtones and your shadows, also in your reverse text. So what we're doing, if you look at the top right-hand picture, that's a 10-point letter Q. Looking at the blow-ups of that, you can see how we've taken our different patterns and matched them within a character of text, within solids, within line work, even in the dot work. So you have, in this case, an advanced O3 pattern, so we can carry about 3 BCM of ink to really get good strong density in the type and in the UPC codes, things like that. But to keep that from spreading out, we have the smaller standard Digicap NX pattern to contain that ink only where you want it. That's how we were able to keep that 90% dot open. So Richard, if you would, he's going to show us how quickly we can set up this press, bring the job up from a cold start. He's going to lower the sleeves in place. For this job, we're running just 5 colors. We're running a single hit of white along with 4 process colors. And Richard's going to show us how quickly he can bring the job up on color, register, and impression. Let's see if he can set a new record. No pressure. Again, as you look at your sample, remember that's metallized material, so we have to get that strong white foundation layer in order to get that solid ink density and get those colors to pop. The advanced patterns that we showed you were developed mainly for water-based and solvent inks, where they need a little bit more support in controlling where the ink goes, and it's not typically needed for UV. 75? Pretty close. His best has been 72 feet to get the job up and sellable. Richard, if you would, let's take the job up on speed. He's going to run 500 feet per minute. You'll see how well the press holds register, and you'll understand why that's important for us. If you look at that label, you've got all those strong colors on there, that really bright yellow, the strong greens throughout the entire tonal range. Greens are typically a hard color to print, very often requiring a spot color in order to achieve that. But all the type that you see on there has been reversed out of 4 colors. So register is very important to keep that open and readable. On his screen, you can see the shadow areas over on the left-hand side of your label. There's a lot of detail in those shadows. It's important to keep that ink from filling in so that you can keep that detail in place. And Richard, if you would, can you show us the highlight areas? If you look inside the soccer ball, you'll see that we go down to a true white. We don't have to continue a dot all the way through. There's no minimum dot in there. We're using our Max Tone SX screening to transition from the AM screening at 200 lines per inch. We go into the FM or the stochastic screening down to nothing. There's no hard break, no hard edge. Thanks, Richard. So, remember, yes, this is Flexo. A little bit of a trick question here. What's the smallest type that you see on that label? Is it our partner line where we share all people who've contributed to this project with us? No, it was a trick question. I warned you up front. That's 4-point type reversed out of 4 colors, but it's not the smallest type on the label. In fact, if you look at the bar next to it underneath the Kodak Flexcel NX System 16, you'll see a little black line. You probably still can't read it because that's half-point type. And we're able to do that by having superior plate technology along with the crisp dot technology of the MPS EF430 press. Don't think many of you are probably needing that kind of fine type today, but isn't it good to know that you can hold the type sizes that you're required to print with if we can go this far down the scale?